Tanner, who are you and what do you do?
Who am I and what do I do? Who am I is a question I have to constantly ask myself, but I think I know what I do these days. As every red-blooded American who moves out to Los Angeles considers himself an actor, but I don't know. I think I'd go with filmmaker and film enthusiast, if I will. And what do? I try to make as many movies as I can in the indie world, and I do love to build the theme parks and ride the rides, as I say. So I have a production company. We try to make movies, and it's fun to jump in front of the camera as well. And when you don't have to make the movie to jump in front of the camera, then you pat yourself on the back a little bit more, I guess. But filmmaker and film enthusiast.
When did your love for movies and TV begin?
Okay, I had a really recent conversation about this. We were talking about, I just had a baby recently, and we were like, oh, I wonder what her first memory is gonna be. And we were like, well, what was your first memory? And I think I was around 4 years old. This is the earliest memory I can think of. But I was at the movie theater in 1988. I was born in 84, so I was like 4 years old. And I remember like the Ghostbusters 2 poster. That's like my earliest memory of a kid. And I'm like, how cool is that is a movie or movie related, because I wound up, loving this business and having this profession. So I guess my love started with Ghostbusters 2. That's my earliest memory was a movie. So maybe started there.
Who's your favorite director?
That is a good question. My favorite director, I think I'd have to go with somebody like Terrence Malick. I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Malick on 4 movies. I don't think his movies are my favorite movies, but the way he directs is it's kind of like the Albert Einstein of filmmaking. And of course, you love your Spielberg. So that's a hard question. That's a tough one. Let's take all those words back and I'll replace them with new words there. Terrence Malick.
Who's the worst?
Oh gosh. Well, I actually met this gentleman. He made this movie called Birdemic, and we actually met him in passing when some friends and I were shooting a short film, and we bought like this jib arm from him. And I hate to call anybody the worst at anything, but if we're gonna have to call a spade, I think this gentleman, go look him up. I don't even know his name, but there's a movie called Birdemic out there, and I think this guy was pretty serious about it, and it's become like kind of a cult classic as an awful film. But I only say that because we happened to meet the guy. So it's not like I'm pulling him out of obscurity. We actually bought a jib from him back in the early 2000s when we were making indie films on our street. So sorry, Birdemic guy, but you might be the worst.
You shot your latest project using only an iPhone 15.
So maybe I'm the worst director out there, because if I did that.
Small budget or something else?
So it was no budget. It was actually just for fun. But I will say, I got to hand it to the people over at Apple and the iPhone. We were playing with this, the new cinematic mode on the camera, and I'm just with like tons of light. I'm like, have you guys seen this? This looks like really good. Like it's got like a built-in stabilizer, and we just kind of started playing with it. And next thing you know, we're shooting while we're on vacation, like a little fun movie, because I grew up making movies in my backyard with my cousin and my friends, and that's who I was with, my cousin and my friends. And we just started shooting with this thing, and the next thing you know, we made a whole series in 2 years on the iPhone, and it was a lot of fun.
What surprised you most about shooting with an iPhone?
I think the quality, not only just like the visual aspect of it and like how the camera kind of started to work with you after learned my patterns. I know that sounds so silly, but with all the technology, maybe it's not. And the sound sounded actually pretty good for not having a boom mic or somebody being across the room. And I don't know, it was just like the more we shot with it on cinematic mode, the more it became like a cyborg. It became like a part of me. But yeah, just the visuals with a lot of light. I mean, like the camera doesn't look amazing, in the dark. It doesn't. But.
Be honest. Did you crack the screen?
Oh, I think it started with it cracked, because if it was my phone, my screen was cracked. So, but no, I think we just, that's the good thing. it didn't affect the visuals at all. So luckily, I don't even work for iPhone, but I'm selling their cameras and their equipment today, aren't I? But no, I think my screen has already been cracked. So luckily, I didn't have to feel that burden of cracking it during the shoot.
Is it the same phone that's in your pocket?
Yes, it is. My phone's actually there because I knew I was going to be on this interview and I didn't want it to ring. But since we're talking about it, that beauty's sitting right over there.
You shot in 10 countries. What's one memory that will stick with you forever?
Probably the smallest country was Liechtenstein. And I was with my beautiful girlfriend and mother of my child, Rachel. And she was like, what are you doing? Because we were like, we have to go to Liechtenstein. We're driving by and I got to put it in Egypte somehow. And so she's like, okay, she thinks it's very silly what we did, and it is. But I think going to Liechtenstein just to say that we went to Liechtenstein and I put it in Egypte, because I don't know if you've ever been there. I mean, it's pretty quick and you're out of a whole country. But I was like, boom, now we've probably done like 11 countries in this thing. So thank you to Liechtenstein for your 3 seconds of being in Egypte.
Biggest travel horror story?
Well, the reason Egypte kind of got started is I actually, my bag was lost in London on our way. We were in Cannes, France 2 years ago, and I didn't have my luggage for the entire time I was there. And this is a place where you wear suits. And also I'm 6'6", and there is no clothes that fit me. I couldn't even find like drawers, you know? So I think my biggest horror story was trying to figure out how many ways I could wear 2 articles of clothing. And I mean, literally I'm wearing like Hard Rock Cafe t-shirts that say like, I love Nice, France. And it's the only thing I could find that would even kind of fit me. But yeah, that was the biggest horror story. But in turn, that's how we kind of started filming. It was like, hey, my bag gets here if I wait a day. What are you guys doing? Why don't we just stick around in Europe and go film some stuff and play around? So thank you, Bag, for getting lost, because it inspired a 6-part series on YouTube.
Highs and lows of being a director and actor in the same project?
Well, the highs of it are, I love it, and you know, you're getting to do what you want to do. The lows maybe don't come towards the end, especially on a feature. I've directed and acted in a few features now, and you know, by the end of it, you're so spent. You know, I remember hearing a story about Mel Gibson after Braveheart. He said he like just literally couldn't talk for like a month. And not that, you know, I've ever done anything that extreme, but like you get that, you know, you just really, you're the first one that arrives every day and the last one to leave. But yeah, maybe the end of it, the lows just being like, you lose the adrenaline of it being over, unfortunately. So you're just like.
What direction did you give yourself and your twin?
Oh my gosh. Well, so we had a rule with this because it was such a silly thing we were doing. You only got one take. So for you, if you've thought about it, then we're like, it's not going to be funny to us. Mostly, pretty much this is funny. I don't know if an audience laughed or not. I hope so. But that was the rule. You only got one take. Couldn't think about it. You just had to run and go do it. And the whole movie was improv. The whole series was improv. And we kind of put it together later, linearly. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that was it. Just don't think about it. Go was the hardest part about being in it and directing, maybe too.
If you could cast anyone for your next project, big or small, who would it be?
Big or small? Well, you know, I've always wanted to work with somebody like a Jeff Bridges, or gosh, I mean, God, that's a tough one. There's so many great ones. You want to say like Daniel Day-Lewis or somebody like that, but you know, if I got to cast somebody in a movie, it would be Jeff Bridges, I think.
If you could cast someone to do a love scene with, who would it be?
Oh man, that's a tricky question. Well, growing up, I always, you know, I had the biggest crush on Maria Menounos when I was like in high school. So she was my early crush early on. I'll just stick with that one. That'll be my get out of jail free card. Well, ever since I was 16, I always thought Maria Menounos was great.
You can pick one person as a mentor. Who and why?
You know, I've had some pretty good mentors that I feel like, you know, because I've got to meet them, they were not a mythology of a mentor, right? But just some of the actors I've gotten to work with and have met. But even somebody like Terrence Malick was somebody really special to show how a film was crafted. Getting to meet people like Christian Bale or I just recently met Billy Bob Thornton on a project we were working on, and he may be the coolest person I've ever met in my life. So Billy Bob Thornton right now is kind of high up there for sure.
Most famous person in your phone?
I don't know. I grew up with Zac Efron out here, and sometimes when he calls, I think that they'll see that on my phone and not believe it or think it's made up. But as far as famous goes, I think probably Zac Efron is probably the most famous person on my phone.
Prove it. Call them.
You want me to call him?
Mm-hmm.
He won't answer, but I'll call him. This will be hilarious if he answers. All right. This is so funny. He'll probably be like, I'm on set. All right, we're calling Zac Efron. He's never gonna answer. By the way, I have to put what year I got his number because he's had 25 different numbers. Maybe we'll leave a message. Yeah, he's not going to answer.
Call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Zach, you blew it, bro. I'm on TV. They said, who's the most famous person in your phone? And I chose you, and then you didn't answer my call, shaming me and the rest of America. So you owe us at least a text back, bro. Hope you're good. Guaranteed. I know he's shooting a movie in Atlanta right now.
Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
I hope still making movies. As we all know, this industry is changing so rapidly. But been spending a lot of time in Texas recently. So hopefully just with my family and in Texas, making movies and traveling the world. Still.
Single hardest thing about making this series?
Finishing it, I think, because we never really intended for anybody outside of our immediate friends to see what we were doing. But the more we kept shooting and the more fun this kept being, we were just like, we should put this out for an audience. And I have to give a huge shout out to Catherine McNamara, who's a fantastic actress and friend of ours. And she came on board and I was like, hey, listen, we kind of have this crazy story that had no script, but we decided to maybe make a fun series out of it. If you came in and kind of anchored the storytelling of it, we might be able to make a linear concept out of this. So I don't remember what the question was, but shout out to Catherine McNamara for making this really fun, because that was well below her pay grade.
What's your next project?
So I'm acting in a few TV shows right now that I'm very excited about. They're on a really big level, and very grateful to be a part of them. But I can't talk about them until they come out, unfortunately. But I am directing a film called 1 in a Million coming up in September. It's a faith-based film based on a true story. And so we're really excited about that. And then right now I have a film called Flux, which is out in theaters, or was until this weekend. I think its theatrical run might be done, but look for a movie called Flux. Brendan Gabriel Murphy directed it, and starring Tyrese Gibson, Shelley Henning, Shiloh Fernandez.
What would you like the viewers to know?
So we have a fun new series out only on YouTube. Check it out. It is called Egypte 4 Double Agenda, the series. And don't look for the first 3 because they don't exist. We just decided to start with the 4th one.
What's your rating of The Sit?
My rating of The Sit is an easy one. It's a big 10 out of 10 for me. Oh, can I do hey, can we? Okay, hey, just so you know, he's busy. He did text me back.
Oh, okay.
Can't let you see what he said, but...